Do you like your dividends as safe as possible? Do you also like your dividends growing like crazy? Want to own shares in companies that have been paying extremely safe and very fast growing dividends for decades? Then you have to check out today's video.
He is a best-selling author.
30-year-old Jason Fieber has a plan.
This guy retired at only 33 years old.
I don't know if I know too many people that have accomplished something like that.
He's really kind of a guru when it comes to passive income.
Before I get into today's content, please give us a big thumbs up if you find value in our videos. Helps us to get the word out and grow the channel, and I'd really appreciate it. Dividend Aristocrats are stocks that have increased their dividends for 25 or more consecutive years. They're basically the cream of the crop when it comes to dividend growth stocks. After all, in order to fund a reliable rising dividend for decades, you must have produced reliable rising profits for decades. That's incredibly difficult, and that's why dividend growth investing acts as a great filter, eliminating a lot of lower quality companies that can't stand the test of time. Indeed, of the thousands of publicly traded companies out there, there are only 66 stocks in the S&P 500 Dividend Aristocrats Index. One misnomer about these stocks is that they're old and slow growing, that their best days are behind them. When you've been at it for decades, how can you possibly still grow at a high rate? Well, investors who think that Dividend Aristocrats can't still grow at a high rate are wrong. Today, I'm going to tell you about 3 Dividend Aristocrats growing their dividends like crazy. Ready? Let's dig in. The first Dividend Aristocrat growing its dividend like crazy is Illinois Toolworks Inc., stock ticker ITW. Illinois Toolworks has increased its dividend for 46 consecutive years. Just think of how many amazing things you have to do in order to consistently grow your business enough in order to provide for safe, reliable, rising dividends for that long. Yet even after almost 5 straight decades of higher dividends, this amazing industrial company is still growing its dividend at a very high rate. Their 10-year dividend growth rate is 13.1%. That's well above inflation, which means shareholders are seeing their purchasing power rise and dividend income exponentially increase. Even more impressively, the dividend growth has recently been accelerating. The 5-year dividend growth rate is an astounding 16.8%. And you're pairing that crazy growth rate with a pretty solid dividend. The stock yields 2% right now. In many ways, Illinois Toolworks is just getting started. The payout ratio at 68.8% is slightly elevated, largely because GAAP earnings have been thrown for a loop by the pandemic, but this is one of the best managed businesses in America, and I'm 100% confident they'll bounce back. The stock isn't cheap with a price-to-earnings ratio of 35, but this Dividend Aristocrat is a long-term winner that's quadrupled its stock price over the last 10 years. Next up, let's talk about Sherwin-Williams Co., stock ticker SHW. Sherwin-Williams has increased its dividend for 43 consecutive years. That's a long time, and knowing they've been increasing their dividend for more than 4 straight decades, you might think their best days are behind them, that they can't grow anymore. Wrong. Their 10-year dividend growth rate is 14%. And yet again, we have a dividend growth rate that's accelerating. The 5-year dividend growth rate is 14.9%. What's better than a safe dividend that grows for decades? A fast-growing dividend. And what's better than a fast-growing dividend? One that's growing even faster. That kind of growth definitely makes up for the fact that the stock yields less than 1%. I'm not the only one noticing Sherwin-Williams. The market clearly likes what it sees here. The stock is up almost 900% over the last decade. Again, it's not cheap. Quality rarely is. You get what you pay for. And with a price-to-earnings ratio of around 35, you're paying a quality price for a quality stock. Last but not least, I want to highlight T. Rowe Price Group Inc., stock ticker TROW. T. Rowe Price has increased its dividend for 35 consecutive years. 35 and counting, folks, because this dividend keeps on flowing and growing. You'd think that they'd be slowing down at this point. Well, they're not. The 10-year dividend growth rate is 12.8%. That's strong, well in excess of inflation. But again, it does get better because once more, we have an acceleration of dividend growth. The 3-year dividend growth rate is 16.4%, and their most recent dividend increase came in at a whopping 20%. How's that for crazy dividend growth? Even with all of this quality and all of this growth, this Dividend Aristocrat might just be flying under the radar. I say that because of the 3 stocks in today's video, this one is surprisingly cheap in terms of its valuation. The price to earnings ratio of 15.2 is very reasonable, and the stock yields 2.4%. We recently put together a video showing how the stock could be worth up to almost $200 a share. If you're looking to buy a Dividend Aristocrat growing its dividend like crazy, T. Rowe price is very much worth considering right now. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Give us a like if you did. And let us know in the comments what you think about these 3 Dividend Aristocrats growing their dividends like crazy. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so that you don't miss out on new content. Also take a look at the description box below for some important links, including a link to my personal stock portfolio. This 6-figure portfolio, which I call the Fire Fund, generates enough passive dividend income for me to live off of. It allowed me to retire in my early 30s. I've made my portfolio entirely accessible over a Patreon, and I also post alerts there whenever I buy or sell a stock. I put my money where my mouth is, and I'm often invested in the same high-quality dividend growth stocks that I make videos on. Over the years, I've heard from thousands of investors who've been profiting from many of the same exact stocks that I own. So if you think this is something that you could benefit from as well, check the link in the description to see my portfolio and start getting my buy and sell alerts. I'll see you next time.